No.
Well, I'm finally getting around to saying good morning. It's Monday, August the 6th, and I am headed to town to run some errands. I've got to take feed up to where Bo is at the trainer and drop off some cash so he can have front shoes put on. And then I've got to run to town and pick up some things that I need to finish up a couple of projects. And then I'm probably going to come home and work on some canning. I'm hoping that when I go up to where Bo is, that the people from the peach orchard are out selling peaches. And if they are, I'm going to pick up some peaches. Yeah, so I'm headed that way. Good deal. The peach people are here, so I'm going to stop and get peaches. I never read that sign before. Huh. Anyway, I got a half bushel of peaches. Head north on South Market Street toward Camp Street. Then turn left on navigation is talking. I got me a half a bushel of peaches, so looks like this afternoon's going to be peach pie filling and peach jam. I never remember how big he is until I see somebody standing by. Oh, I bet it's a long way up there, isn't it? Thought it would be worthwhile to do a quick little clip to explain what you're seeing in that riding video. What she's working on is teaching him to be flexible so that she can move any part of his body that she wants to. That makes it easier if he, say, starts to try to buck or to run away. If you've got control of his head, it's very hard for a horse to run away with their head flexed to the side or whatever. Also, if I'm going to ride him in dressage, he needs to be very flexible and be able to move off of leg pressure. So the reason she's flexing him like that is so that he will become more supple and more loose and more flexible, so that I can bend his body or move his body any way that I want to. So I just wanted to explain what you were seeing there so that you would know. It's not some kind of punishment or anything. He wasn't being bad. She was just teaching him to give to, and she's using a very light, if you'll notice her hands are very light pressure to teach him to flex. And ultimately you want to be able to get him to do that with just by lifting your hand and using your leg. He's got to learn all of that, since that's not something that he's ever been exposed to. So that's what's going on in the video. Well, I ran up and dropped off Bo's feed and got a half a bushel of peaches from the peach orchard. And then I went down to town after I got to watch Christy work with Bo, which was really exciting. She's got him flexing really well, starting to flex really well, which is good, because when you're riding a horse, you want to be able to flex the body, because if they're flexed and soft, they're less likely to buck. So, but anyway, so I watched her work with him, and then I drove down to town and met Carol. One of the families at the barn had given me a gift certificate for the local big box craft store, and I needed to pick up a few things. So I messaged my friend Carol and said, hey, you want to meet me? And then we went and had lunch. But I got a couple of things that I needed. I got this zipper for the mouth of my Kelvin Monster pouch. I thought that would be really cool. It's a really long zipper, but I can shorten it, and that'll be fun. And then I got some Knitter's Pride interchangeable needles. I got this Knitter's Pride interchangeable needle set so that I could go ahead and cast on the Laura from the A Crocheting Hoovie and her cowl that she's having the knit along for. These are going to be a little bit longer than what the pattern calls for, so I need to look at the pattern and see what the size of the repeat is and add in some stitches. But that was the smallest cable I could find, other than if it was way too small with the size needles that I needed. So I got those. And then, let's see. Oh, I found some cute buttons on clearance. I thought these were awfully cute little butterfly buttons. So, anyway, I'll use those on something. I don't know what. I got several packages of those. And then last but not least, not terribly exciting, but I got some fray check, which I needed to put on the handles of those bags and for my giveaway. So I'm home now. I'm going to go out and check water right quick. We got a lot of cumulus clouds forming, and they're starting to get built up, so maybe we'll get some afternoon thunderstorms. But once I checked water and everything, pretty much the rest of the day is going to be making, my hope is to make, these are some peach pie filling and some peach jam, and then some salsa verde with tomatillos. So I got to go out and pick some jalapenos. And if I have time and I feel like it, I'm going to go ahead and make some blackberry habanero jelly and some blackberry cobbler filling, and then some blueberry pie filling and some blueberry jam. We'll see how much I get, how much of that I get done. But for sure, gonna make the salsa. I'm gonna start the salsa verde first, and then start working up these peaches, and then get those done first because those are fresh. The blueberries and the blackberries are in the freezer. I've got those in gallon bags in the freezer, so those can sit a little bit longer if they need to. But anyway, so that's the plan for the afternoon. I'm going to go out and check water right now. See, we're starting to get some good cumulus cloud buildup. Looks like some of them are even starting to build up even more. So maybe we'll get some afternoon storms this afternoon and get a little bit of rain, which would be great. Well, I decided since I had to wait on the pony's water trough to fill up, I would just go ahead and feed while I was at it and save myself another trip out here. Yeah, save a little bit of time, a few steps, huh? I fed the ponies already, and now I'm going around and filling up the rabbit feeders. And I always check their waterers even if they're full, to make sure that water's coming out of them, you know, because sometimes they can get stopped up. So I'll squeeze on them a little bit just to make sure there's water coming out, because I don't want somebody to get thirsty as hot as it is. This is Mr. Spots. He's my English Spot that Amelia, Vanessa's daughter, drew me the picture of. And he got something wrong with his feet where it was really painful for a while. And so I've been treating his feet, but he lost some weight on me, so I give him a little extra. I give him some alfalfa pellets in his food, but I also give him some grass every day to kind of boost him back up. Okay, so I got all the rabbits fed in water. The ponies are fed. I'm filling up their water. The chickens are fed. I just have to fill up a couple of chick waters. And then I'll be done, except for the cat, feeding the barn cats outside. Yay! So then I can spend all afternoon working on some canning. So that'll be great. So you can see the cumulus clouds that are starting to build up this afternoon. It'd be great if some of them rained over the top of us. If they don't rain, I'm going to have to water my garden, which is fine. I don't mind doing that, but it sure would help if it would rain on it first. See, those are starting to become towering cumulus, which means the convective uplift from the afternoon heating, is starting them to grow. So maybe we'll get lucky and get rain. Yay! Okay, so first up is going to be some salsa verde. I have some tomatillos and a mixture of hot peppers and a couple of sweet peppers, some onions, some lemon juice, salt, pepper, cumin, and some cilantro that I actually had in the freezer because my friend Kathy's bushes were really prolific early in the season. But cilantro usually dies off on us here because it gets too hot. It'll bolt and go to seed, so we freeze it until the tomatillos are ready. And I grow these in my garden, and then I bought a few extras to kind of supplement to make a good amount. So I'm going to cook that down for a while, and then I'll run it through the food processor and water bath process it in pint jars when it's ready. I'm going to move on to some peach pie filling. So I bought a half a bushel of peaches from the peach orchard, and there was a mixture of these bigger ones with some that are a little bit smaller. So what I'm doing is I'm separating out the bigger ones, which will make the prettier slices for the pie filling, and I'm going to work those up into mostly pie filling. And then the smaller ones, I'm going to put those aside to make the peach preserves out of. So, so first thing I'm going to do is peel peaches. Now you can peel peaches quickly with the same trick that you can use to peel tomatoes. You boil water, you put your peaches in the boiling water, and then after that you plunge them into ice water. I haven't put my ice in here yet, but you plunge them into ice water, and then you can just scrape, or you can just basically wipe the skin off of them, just like you do tomatoes. So that's how I'm going to peel my peaches for my pie filling. Look, I actually remembered to put on an apron this time. Yay me. I've still got a few more peaches to peel, but I'm done with my hot water, so I'm going to show y'all the trick. If you guys have got weeds growing up, say in a crack in your driveway like these are for me, hot water, boiling water will kill them. So I'm taking my hot water, and don't just dump it, you'll scald yourself, and pouring that hot water on those weeds, and it'll kill them. I haven't done it this year, but last year when the grass started growing up in my sidewalks, I did that when I was canning, and I killed all the weeds. Okay, so my salsa verde's cooked down for a while, so now I'm going to run it through the food processor. And I'm going to tell you the hard lesson I learned. Don't use a blender, use a food processor with a locking lid, because I was making salsa one year, and this is hot still. I've turned the fire out under to let it cool a little bit, but it's still hot. I was running some salsa in the blender and the lid flew off, and I got scalded on my face. So locking lid food processor is a good thing. Okay, so I've got it blended up. So now my jars have been heating like I showed yesterday or the other day in my elderberry video. So now I'm going to pack my jars. So I'm doing just like I did the other day. I'm going to pack these jars. Now I have put lemon juice again in this because, again, if you're going to water bath something, it needs to be high in acidity to prevent the formation of botulism. So by adding a little bit of lemon juice to this, I've raised the acidity. I'm going to pack the jar until it's even with that bottom rim, which is right there, that bottom rim. So that'll give me enough. You don't want too much head space, or it won't seal properly. And if you've got not enough head space, it doesn't have enough to draw a vacuum. So I've gone up to that bottom rim. You can buy a little tool to check it, and you know, I'll always kind of every now and then when I don't remember just right, I will check, but I can usually eyeball it pretty well. So I'm going to pack my jars up, and then I'll put the lids and rings on and load my canner, which has been going over here. Here's the tool I was talking about. If you buy a beginning canning kit from Ball Preserving, you'll usually get this in that kit. And that mark where I've got it on the rim right now is 1/2 inch, so that checks my head space. It's just touching the liquid. So 1/2 inch head space. So when I take it to the fair, they'll go, yes, right head space. Blue ribbon. Well, here you go. That is the biggest Tupperware bowl I have. And I have sliced up those peaches. Now I'm going to mix my spice mixture up. Now, one of the things that I do, instead of when I can pie filling to thicken it, a lot of people use cornstarch, but I actually use clear gel. It makes the filling less cloudy. It just looks prettier in the jar. Okay, so I use this instead of the cornstarch. So yeah, just looks nicer in the jar. I buy it by the big container. I use it for all my pie fillings. And you use it as you would cornstarch instead. So there's my peaches. I'm going to put my spices and everything in them, and when this is done and it's jarred up, if I want to make a peach pie or I want to make a peach cobbler, all I need to do is have my crust or my cobbler base, open my jars, pour it in, ready to go. Simple. Okay, I've got my pie filling cooking down there with my secret spice mixture in it, and I am going to pull the salsa from the camera. And like I talked about yesterday, I'm going to put it on a towel over here. Oh, my camera's fogged up there. I'm going to put it on a towel over here so that the temperature change doesn't happen too rapidly on those jars and cause them to crack. And I am going to leave the canner going and put my quart jars in there, which is what I will pack my pie filling in. And I say it's a super secret mixture of spices. You just put a flavor profile on the spices that you like. But there's 4 pints of salsa verde done. Peaches are waiting. Got 2 pots of filling cooking here. And I am going to start putting these quart jars that I've pulled out of my stash. Now with the quarts, I usually end up having to stand them up because the canner will only hold 8 quarts. So what I do is I lay them on their side and let them get a little bit of hot water in them, so it kind of helps equalize the temperature, and then I stand them up. And I think I actually pulled 10 jars because I'm not sure how much pie filling I'm going to make, so it's better to have more jars than not enough. So I'm going to let those get hot, and while my pie filling is cooking and thickening, and then we'll pack them in. So as the clear gel cooks, which is a modified cornstarch so that it can take the heat and doesn't turn cloudy, it starts to thicken up. So you can see how that's thickening up. The back burner is not as hot, so that one's taking a little bit longer. It started out more liquid like this, and now it's thickened up. So now what I'm going to do is add my lemon juice and then add my peach slice. So that's what it looks like with the peach slices mixed in. Now I'll let them cook for just a very short time before I add them to the jar. Okay, I've got 7 pints here, and I've got about maybe 5 or 6 more to go after this. So with quart jars, I do 3/4 to a half inch, or excuse me, 3/4 to an inch of head space to draw enough vacuum. I need to wipe the rims on these with a towel and then put my lids and my rings on, and these will process in the water bath for 30 minutes because they're big. So 30 minutes on quarts. Well, while I'm waiting for those jars to process, because they do have to process for 30 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and take these scraps out. I think I heard one of them crack, which happens sometimes. You know, even brand new jars can have a flaw in them and crack, but also the older a jar gets, the more likely it is to crack just from the thermal stress of being heated up and cooled down and heated up and cooled down. I hope that wasn't what I heard, because it frustrates the snot out of me when I lose a whole jar of something because a jar cracked. And quarts are worse to do it, it seems like to me, than pints. But hopefully hopefully it was something else. But anyway, I'm going to take these scraps out. I'm going to pour the juice and the skins back there in my beef eater, and then, or some of the skins back there in my beef eater, and then I've got the pits and some of the stuff from the salsa in this other basket. I'm going to give those to the chickens. Yep, one broke. Dadgummit, that makes me mad when that happens. Wastes food, and I don't like that. So, thermal stress, it just cracked right around the bottom. Oh well, that's part of it. Well, one last thing I needed to do tonight, because I've been putting it off, I made up a new batch of deodorant. The recipe I use is sort of a hybrid of some that I found online. I use beeswax, coconut oil, a little bit of vitamin E or sunflower oil, depending on what I have. I also add tea tree oil, which is antimicrobial, baking soda, cornstarch to help with wetness, and then if I feel like it, I'll add a few drops of essential oil. The beeswax is, I usually add 2 parts beeswax to 3 parts coconut oil, so 1/3 less beeswax. That's what makes it harden up. Okay, I didn't get quite enough beeswax in this, so I'm melting a little bit more, because you don't want it to be runny when you put it in your tubes. And I just reuse tubes that I already had, or containers, whatever you want to call them, that I already had, and I just pour it in there and it hardens up. Works good. The last thing that I'm doing tonight is I'm using up some of these beautiful big blackberries that my neighbor Connie brought me from the U-Pick place where she took her grandkids. And also I'm using some of the habaneros from my garden to make habanero blackberry jam. So what I'll do is I'll let this simmer for a little while, and then I'll run it through the food processor. These blackberries appear to be seedless, so I don't have to worry about running it through a jelly bag, but I do want to break up those big pieces of habanero. So I will run this through the food processor just on low to pulse up the pieces of habanero. And then I'll put it back in here and add my pectin to let it gel up, and then I'll water bath process that too. Okay, so I took my food processor and I blended it up. Now I'm going to add pectin in a little bit, but I want to wait until my apple pie filling is done. It's only got about another minute to go because I need to heat my jelly jars before I put this in there. So once I pull my apple pie filling and put those jars in, they're little bitty, so they won't take, they're little tiny half-pint jars, so they won't take long to heat up. I will add the pectin to let this set up and gel. Okay, I've put the pectin in it. You can see it causes it to foam up a little bit, which you can skim that off. But I can tell by how sticky the bubbles look that it's probably going to set up. But I've put a spoon in the freezer to gel test it. There's a little bit of seeds in there, but this is my blackberry habanero jam, or my hot damn jam, whatever you want to call it. I got 6 and a little bit of jam in there. Put the lid on. They're half pints, so I'm going to process them for about 10 minutes. And then I will be done for the night. Well, there it is. 5 hours of work. 4 pints of salsa, 10 pints of pie filling, and 6.5 half pints of jelly. Not bad for an afternoon's work, and you can hear them going pop, pop, pop. Well, it really isn't my imagination. He is her protector. She stays right with him most of the day, which I think is totally cute and sweet. Hi, Fizzy. I can. There's backs for Simon. Satchel's around somewhere, but she stays right with him. Oh, that's the sweetest thing. Those two are the cutest things ever. Well, I'm sitting out on the back steps tonight waiting on the dogs to go potty. It's been a good day. Hi, Custard. You want some attention? Yes, I'm a good boy. Got a lot done today. So I was pretty glad to get some good canning done. I felt like I hadn't got nearly as much done as I wanted to. And I appreciate everybody's feedback on the videos. I'm glad to know that some of y'all are enjoying them, and I hope that y'all will continue to watch if I manage to keep up ears for the whole month of August. Quiet! You're loud. Anyway, I guess Ears is excited. But anyhow, so I appreciate the feedback. I am going to still do my regular podcast episodes with my projects and stuff on them. And got quite a chorus going on out here. So anyway, I hope y'all have a good night. I am more smooth out. But anyway, come here. Come here. Y'all be good to each other and take care of each other while this crazy dog keeps barking. And I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace out, y'all. Bye. You're silly.